Here we go. So, like I said, next Tuesday is our last class. So, keep in mind that if you have any specific questions of anything you want me to go over, then we will do that. Last week we went through our movements many times with each principle in mind. And now we're going to start on the internal experience of well, I don't think we'll start there, but we're going to make sure we get to that today. Also, be thinking of anything that you want to specifically go over, certain questions you have. It could be about what benefits are Tai Chi. You know, I'm kind of a broken record with throwing in principle information, throwing in the benefit information, throwing in the features of the program. And I say it so many times that I don't know that you realize, you know, you're learning it more and more each time I say those things. So this will wrap it up next Tuesday, but no fear because, I mean, how long are we going to have off? Not very long. We will have 1, 2, 3. Yeah. We're only going to have 3 weeks off before we start another class. So, you know, it's not like I'm leaving you like I do over the summer. Because in May, whenever we end our class, I don't start back up until August. So this class pretty much comes back pretty quickly. Remember to sign up. You will either sign up with Sam or sign up with me. Most of y'all in this class sign up with Sam. But y'all just let me know or let her know if you have any questions. Let's see. Who do I have coming in on a fire tablet? Is that Miss Clara? Let's see. Who just came in on a fire tablet?
I just cut my camera on, but I'm on a Claris.
Well, I see you. I see you.
Okay.
Well, we've missed you. I'm glad you're back.
Yeah, I was in the hospital.
No way. Are you better?
Yeah, I'm healing. I'm still healing.
You sound a little bit weak.
I feel kind of weak.
Well,
At hospital, you don't get no rest in there.
no, there's constantly people in and out, and nothing's soft and the same as home.
That's right.
So,
Everybody appreciate you home.
yeah, you do. So this, whoever joined on the fire tablet, if y'all will let me know, you're on mute now and it's not, there's no camera. So I just want to make sure I write down who it was in case that makes you a completer and you earn a t-shirt. So you might not even know you're on a fire tablet. Oh, there you are. All right. Is that Clara? You're like teeny tiny. Here, can I unmute you? Y'all know I see y'all on these tiny little squares, so I can't always make out your features. Sometimes I know your voice better than I know your face. All right.
This is Constance.
That's Clara.
Constance.
Constance. Gotcha. Well, we haven't seen you in a while either. We're glad you're back.
Thank you.
Next Tuesday will be our last class, but we'll start back up on January the 6th. So make sure if you want to do that, you let Sam know. So let's get ourselves warmed up and started. Like I said, we're going to go through our movements. We're more and more familiar with it. The more practice we get, the better. I do want to talk about a couple things. One is falling is serious, right? Or it can potentially be very serious. If sometimes people will fall, they'll break a hip and they end up in the nursing home for rehabilitation, and sometimes they don't come out. And so we want to do anything that we can to prevent falls. In one of my classes, one of the guys was telling me he has a lot of friends that have fallen recently, and I asked, what were the circumstances of the fall? And you know what he said? That they were in a hurry. That was the circumstances of the fall. They were in a hurry. So, slow down and take your time. There's a lady in my Monday class. She has a back brace and an ankle brace. And so she came to class. She was a little bit late. And you know what she said? She said, I'm sorry I'm late. I was working on a project. She said, I got done about 5 minutes ago. She said, but it took me another 5 minutes to walk here because she was in another part of the building. And I said, that's okay. I'm glad you took your time because she needs to travel really slow. If she were more worried about getting to class on time and got in a hurry, she would have increased her chance of falls. So just know, sometimes we do a good job of giving ourselves extra time and making sure we account for being slow and to not be in a hurry. And we try to do our best to not be late. But just know that being late is much better than being in a hurry and falling. So keep that in mind. Don't get yourself in a hurry. Now in Tai Chi, we go really slow. Slow, smooth, continuous is our principle. You're not going to go out and pose moving as slow as we do in class, right? You know, that's a little bit too slow. You might get run over if you move through life as slow as we move in this class. So somewhere a little bit quicker than class so you don't fall. But don't get in a hurry. That's one of the top reasons why people are falling. The other thing I wanted to mention was this time of year, we're getting together with groups of people, whether it be family or church family or friends, and a lot of sickness is going around. Mr. Ed being in the hospital really reminded me about some things that you can do to keep yourself healthy. One, wash your hands. Don't touch your face a lot. Stay hydrated. Get plenty of rest. And if you're going into a group, don't go around people sick. Have that expectation for everybody else too. You know, do your part to not get others sick. But by getting rest, staying hydrated, and keeping your hands washed and not touching your face a lot, then you can ward off a lot of sickness. It's not bad for us to be exposed to sickness. It's actually good. It helps our immune system stay strong. But once you get a weakened immune system, man, it can get you down and it's hard to recover from it. So if you do get sick, take your time to recover. Take your time through rest, good nutrition, and hydration to help yourself get better. And so tis the season, right? So, and we're kind of cooped up inside more. So it's easier for germs to get spread because we're around each other in closed spaces. All right, that's my lectures for the day. Just take care of yourself and slow down. Let's get ourselves in our stable posture, our upright posture, our stable stance. Our feet are about shoulder width or hip width apart. We're breathing. We're going to go through our warm-ups from neck to ankle. We're following our principles even in our warm-up, starting with our neck. Is it raining where y'all are today?
It's already quit here.
It's raining here. My husband's in Savannah, and he said it's raining there. My mom's in Kentucky. She said they got a little bit of snow. It's a little bit colder up there than it is here. Our other neck exercise starts out that same way. And I haven't talked about this in a while, but we put one hand down by our hip and it's still engaged. It's not just down here flapping around. We follow this hand to the side and we go until we feel a slight stretch and we come back to the front. But I want you to think about this shoulder right here. As you turn your head, it's pulling this shoulder back, right? Just because your hand is moving to the side, it pulls that shoulder back. Don't forget about this shoulder. Kind of pull it back at the same time, and you can feel an even deeper stretch right there. So I don't always talk about it, but this is one of those things that we learn more as we take class longer. We learn ways to deepen the movement. And that's one way, is engaging both shoulders. We're turning our head and stretching our neck. So we try to get the most out of all the movements that we do. And in the beginning, we're simplifying it as we first learn. So this may be the first time you've heard it, and that's okay. This is the one I get stuck on because it feels so good to stretch my neck.
Yeah, it feels a lot better like that.
Sir?
I was saying it feels a lot better.
Yes. The more you do it, the less stiff you'll be. So you're rewarded for practicing. Let's go to our shoulders. Rolling our shoulders, small circles, forward first. And back. Oh, that's like a little massage you give yourself. Keep it small. We're used to doing everything big. It is just a good reminder. In Tai Chi, we do everything small. We always roll our shoulder back second, and that's a good way to help reset your posture. Big shoulder circle. A great way to practice breath, to inhale and exhale. And if you're doing this by yourself, outside of class, then you're in control of your pace. So all of our lungs are different. So being able to go at your pace of breath is great. The more we use our lungs and practice breath, the better capacity they have. And also it helps us ward off sickness and have stronger lungs. So, you think about the flu and pneumonia, bronchitis, different ailments that involve our lungs. When we practice that breath, it can help us get over those sicknesses. Coming to our ball, we're going to stretch our spine back to the center and switch. Remember, you're keeping a soft bend in your elbow. You're not fully extending your arms. I exhale on the press. Inhale as I come back to my ball. Back to center, now side to side. Think about how similar this movement is to our waving hands and clouds. It's that torso movement. We don't go as far as we can. We go from just above this knee, switch, just above the other knee. Remember, the hand on top is the direction that we're traveling. And that's true with our waving hands and clouds. To our lower body, we're going to shift weight to one leg. Go forward, hands back. Keeping our body upright as we do this movement. Toe back and at an angle, just like a kickstand. That helps us be more stable. I want you to really notice the strength in your leg. And maybe how far you've come since we first started this class. About said in January. We didn't start this class in January. It was August. But hopefully you can identify some improvement. And that's what we're here for. Slight improvement. And sometimes you don't notice a slight improvement. But give it some time and you notice, hey, when I first started doing this, I really wobbled, or I had to hold on to a chair, or I could only do one. Right now I'm teaching bingo size in Soperton. And when we start bingo size, we do 30 seconds of exercise. Shift weight to one leg, keeping our body upright, and tap out. Now we're on week 9. We were on session 17 yesterday. No, 18 yesterday. Now we're doing 60 seconds of exercise. So there's a lot of different exercises we do. When we first started, like I said, we did things for 30 seconds, including a chair stand where we got up and down out of a chair. Some people couldn't do it at all when we first started. Now we're spending a whole minute getting up and down out of our chair. And it has been amazing to see them get strong and grow. So you can get strong and grow over time as well in this class. All right, now we're going to do for our knees. We shift weight, lift, tap and punch. Bring it back, shift, lift, tap and punch. We're going to step out. Small step, shift forward and back. We're keeping both feet flat on the floor. Reminding ourselves to be slow. It's easy to get in a hurry. We're used to being in a hurry. But thankfully, Tai Chi gives us at least 1 hour where we get to slow down. It's a lot of weight shifting going on here. We have front and back, and then side to side. Well, it's one of my favorite moves because of that. All right, for our ankles, shift and we heel toe, heel toe. Bring it back, shift weight, heel toe. big toe, little toe, or side to side. Depending on the flexibility of your ankle joint, your ankle may not turn like mine, but do what you can do. And again, the more you practice this movement, the less tension and stiffness you'll have, particularly here, your ankle joints. But the more you do these warm-ups, the more flexible you'll be. Let's shake it off. That reminds me, yesterday when I was in Claxton, a lady came up to me and she said, you know, when I got up this morning, my body was hurting and I just wanted to stay in my recliner all day. She said, but I didn't. I got up and I got moving and I'm here. And she said, do you know I'm not hurting right now? And this was after Tai Chi class. And so sometimes we give in to the pains that we have, but if we'll just do a little bit to move in the direction of, doing something, then we'll be better for it. And so even if you say, I'll do it for a minute, or I'll do it for 5 minutes, and then if I'm still hurting, I'll quit. A lot of times you'll get that blood flowing, you'll get warmed up, and you'll get less tense and stiff, and you'll be able to do more. So don't give up on yourself, y'all. Don't give in to just wanting to sit around. Sitting around and tensing up your body will make it worse. All right. Before I get started, is there anything in particular that y'all want to go over or that y'all want to cover in class today that I want to make sure I get to? All right, well, if it comes up, just let me know. I'm going to turn around. We're going to go through our part 1 movements, basic 6 and advanced 6. And I'm going to, instead of doing all the movements, slow, smooth, and continuous, and then doing all the movements, gentle resistance, I'm going to put the categories together. So the first thing we're going to do is our movement control. And under movement control is slow, smooth, and continuous, but also gentle resistance. And that is like moving through heavy air. If we're moving through heavy air, then we're going to probably go a little slower, right? Because it takes more effort to move through that heavy air. So movement control is what we're thinking of, which includes slow, smooth, and continuous, and gentle resistance. So let's go through it with that in mind. Starting with our upright posture, we're breathing and commence. Open, close. Single whip. Waving hands in clouds. Open, close. Single whip. Waving hands in clouds. And close. Advanced 6, starting with brush knee. Play the loop. Parry punch. Block and close. Push the tiger. Open, close. Brush knee. Play the loop. Parry punch. Block and close. Push the tiger. Open, close. Close it out. So that's bringing into mind our movement control. Oh, I got Linda coming in. Mark Linda. All right. A couple things came to mind while I was doing that, and that is the smoothness on the edge. All right, so what am I talking about? So on waving hands and clouds, this is what it looks like from the front. So we know we switch and we turn. You know, those are our words up there. We switch and we turn. And so it may get lost on what to do on that edge. You may be so quick to just do the switch that you're losing the smoothness of it. And so that's what I was thinking whenever I went to go here, and then whenever I went to switch, I went smooth. I didn't get in a hurry, did I? I didn't just go here, switch, here, switch. It was more like a slap, wasn't it? Here, and then watch. Slow and smooth. Continuous. Slow and smooth. And continuous. So there's those times on the edge, in that time of the change of the movement, that you may kind of get lost. The smoothness gets lost. So the more you practice, the smoother it will get. I always think about whittling wood. You start off with a block, sharp edges. You start carving it into a general shape. Work on that. And then you go to sanding it and smoothing those edges. And next thing you know, you have a block of wood that turned into a Santa Claus. Since it's December, we'll make it a Santa Claus. But it takes time to smooth those edges. And at first, it has very sharp edges. That's how learning kind of goes through that process. We learn each little piece of the move, so we know what to do next, and then we know it, and we smooth it out. So don't get in a hurry to turn. Give that switch the respect as you change. And that's just in the waving hands and clouds. But of course you could apply it to many different movements. Another thing that came up for me is when I did push the tiger. Okay? Now that's a very easy movement. I always say we're home free. When we get to block and close and then push the tiger, we're home free. Because that's pretty easy. Step back, hands to hip. Step forwards, hands extend from the body. But what came to mind when I just did that was the fact that Tai Chi is a martial art. And in a martial art, you're fighting someone. Of course, this is the slowest fight you're never going to have, but We're pushing, if you will. We're retreating as if somebody was coming towards us. Our block and close is a retreat. They're coming at us and we're going, whoa, don't get me. And then now we're going to get them. So we go, whew, we push them. With keeping that in mind, that it's a fight, that it's a martial art, what would be dangerous? If we covered our eyes. So if we cover our eyes in a fight, we don't know what's coming at us. So we have to protect ourselves by keeping our vision unblocked. And so when we do our movements, same thing goes. So when we're doing waving hands and clouds, we don't hold our hand way up here. That goes in front of our face. Just like when we push the tiger, we don't put it so high we block our face. We don't block our face. We need to be able to see what's going on. And so those were the two things that really came up as I was going through the movement that time. All right, I probably should have started with body structure, but all principles are important. I think the body structure one, upright posture, is an easy one to kind of start with. You know, this is how we're standing throughout. You may have that tendency to want to lean as you, because if you were really in a fight, you'd put your all into pushing somebody. But we're not really in that fight. The arms extend from the body, but we keep our body upright. We don't lean. As soon as we start leaning, then we're going towards falling. Now you may have the muscle strength in your core to pull yourself back up. And that's great. If you were to trip and go towards falling, you can use that muscle in that core to pull yourself back up and not fall. But why put yourself in the position to be towards falling? So always keep that upright posture. So body structure is upright posture. It also includes weight transfer. What's so important about weight transfer is the empty step before we shift the weight. I think a lot of times there is a weight shift as soon as we place that foot on the floor. That is generally how we walk, and it is called controlled falling. It's to just give weight to that foot as we go. And we're lucky we don't fall most of the time. But we're committing weight to that foot before we know that we're ready and able, before we know that there's nothing on that floor that we'll step on, before we know that there's a hole in the ground. I hope there's not a hole in the floor, but you know when you're outside, sometimes there'll be a hole in your yard. It'll be uneven. If you have animals, then you know. My dogs, I don't know what they're searching for, but they are digging holes. All right. So weight transfer, empty step, weight transfer. Now some of you may be transferring weight as soon as you place the foot for safety reasons, because when you're going slow and you an empty step, then you're having to hold weight on one leg longer. And so you might not have the leg strength for that. And so if that's the case, if you're shifting weight on a step almost immediately, for safety, then that is forgivable because safety is most important and safety trumps everything. So I want us to go through the moves, thinking about body structure, thinking about that upright posture and that weight transfer. I feel like I'm thinking of all the things that I can tell you before class comes to an end. All right. Nice review of what we've learned so far. So body structure, upright posture, empty step before the weight transfer. All right, here we go. All the way through part 1. Basic 6 and advanced 6. And commence. Empty step. Now transfer. Empty step. Now adjust the weight. Open, close. Single whip. Waving hands and clouds. Open, close. Single whip. Waving hands and clouds. Advance 6. Brush knee. Play the loop. Harry punch. Lock and close. Push the tiger. Open, close. Brush knee. Play the loop. Harry punch. Block and close. Push the tiger. Open, close. Close it out. So you see what we did there. Last week we did slow, smooth, continuous and went through all of it. Last week we thought about gentle resistance and went through all of it. Upright posture, went through all of it. Weight transfer, went through all of it. And today we put two together. We put all the movement control together, or both movement control together, and both body structure together. Because eventually you practice it so much that you're doing all the principles at the same time. But you get there by practicing one principle at a time and getting really good at each principle. And so hopefully you're noticing more an empty step before that weight transfer. Hopefully you're resisting the urge to lean as you transfer weight forward. Keep practicing. Now let's talk about the internal principles of our Tai Chi. And the first is song. S-O-N-G, that's our open joints. And so you hear me mostly talk about that with our elbows and knees and not locking our elbows and knees. So I'm not Frankenstein, I'm not out with locked elbows. You know, I'm not Frankenstein where my knees are locked and I'm standing straight up. I have a soft bend in my knee. I have that soft bend in my elbows. So even though my arms are extended, I still have a soft bend. And what happens there is it allows the energy to flow. All right, so what we're going to do right now is go through the movements thinking about not locking elbows and knees. Okay, we have other joints, but we're just going to think about elbows and knees. All right, let's go through our movements, keeping open joints. All right, here we go. And commence. Open, close. Single whip. I'm squatted down just a little bit. My knees are just slightly bent. It's hard to tell because my pants are baggy. But I'm not locked. If I were locked, I'd be up here. But I'm relaxed into my stance. Open, close. Single whip. Waving hands in clouds. Open, close. Advance 6. Brush knee. Open joints. Elbows and knees. Play the loop. Parry punch. So even though our hands are extended, they're not locked. Lock and close. Push the tiger to the front. Open, close. Brush knee. Play the loop. Parry punch. Lock and close. Push the tiger. Open, close. That may have been the first time that you've done that movement with a conscious thought of your knees and elbows. And if you were extra conscious of those knees having a slight bent, then your legs may be a little extra tired. Not only when your joints are open does it allow that life energy to flow, which is why we have open joints or song joints, and we want that energy to flow, but it engages muscle, especially in our thighs, hamstrings, gluteus, when we have that slight bend or that slight squat. Now this is Sun style Tai Chi, so we have a higher stance. There are other kinds of Tai Chi that really squat down as they do Tai Chi. And if you ever watch Dr. Lamb do Tai Chi, you think, and I've had people say before, Dr. Lamb is doing it wrong, which is funny because he wrote the program. But he is a Tai Chi master, and so the way he squats down is very natural for him. He doesn't have that slight bend in his knees. He has a very pronounced bend, and so you may notice that in his videos. But he's a Tai Chi master. So thinking about squatting down just a little bit, it really does engage more muscle. On that thought, I noticed when I did open and close, that when I opened, I came up a little bit, even though my knees weren't locked. And when I closed, I kind of squatted a little deeper. So I inhale and exhale. So you kind of see me rise and fall. And it's just a tiny bit of movement in those knees. That helps make those legs stronger. So we have the energy aspect where we open up our joints to allow energy to flow, but then the strength aspect of our thighs and legs. The other thing about open joints, and it's a little more challenging, is opening our hips and opening our armpits. So when you open your hips, say you're standing here in your stable stance, if you'll grab the floor with your pinky toes, you're kind of grabbing the floor on the outside of your foot. Still have that soft bend in your knees. Do you feel your hips open when you do that? So that may take some practice because a lot of people have very, very stiff hips from sitting down a lot. If the days that I drive a lot, what am I doing? I'm sitting. I'm driving, but I'm sitting. The days I'm in my office working on the computer, I'm sitting a lot. My hips will be so tight. And so it takes warming up, getting that blood flowing, getting those muscles warm, and then you can open up those hips. But if they're real, real tight, it may be harder for you. You may feel that really working against you. So that's how you open your hips. Of course, we're moving in our Tai Chi, so it's different to stand like this. You can open your hips here, grabbing the floor with your pinky toe. And then your armpits. All right, let's think about that. As we go through our movements, our arms aren't connected to the sides of our body. We hold our arms out, right? So like when we're open and close, those arms are out. We're not here, we're here. So I refer to it as letting your armpits breathe. So all the movements here, my armpits can breathe. So even when I came down, see how my arms stayed out? I didn't go, My arms are away from my body, which allows that shoulder joint to be open. And so some movements lend itself better to that than others. But so now let's go through it again and think about our armpits breathing. If we're closing them off, they can't breathe. They need to breathe. We all have wore our deodorant. Nobody's armpit stinks. We don't have to be self-conscious about that. So we can keep those armpits open. All right, let's go through our moves, thinking about open joint, letting our armpits breathe. And commence. Open, close. Single whip. Waving hands in clouds. Armpits of breathing. Open, close. Single whip. Waving hands in clouds. Open, close. Brush knee. Armpits still breathing. Play the loop. Hairy punch. Lock and close. So even though our hands are down, my armpits are still open. Push the tiger. Open, close. Brush knee. Play the loop. Parry punch. Lock and close. Push the tiger to the front. Open, close. So keeping our joints open is a lot of work, isn't it? And I think I really feel that in my legs, just focusing on it. All right, one last internal principle is mental quietness. We don't get that a lot in class because we're here to learn and I'm talking a lot. But I'm going to put on, I call it our song, because this is the music that Dr. Lamb's daughter wrote just for these movements, just for the pace of these movements. And we're going to, I'm not going to talk. If I do, it'll be an accident. But we're going to go through it. It's called Jing, mental quietness. Okay? This is a beautiful gift of Tai Chi. All right, turning it up. And begin. Doesn't
Very
that
good.
doesn't that feel good? We couldn't have done that class 1, but we break it down, we learn the parts, we practice the parts, we practice the principles, and then we turn on this beautiful music. It all comes together, and we're just in this zone of quiet. And it's so relaxing and soul soothing. So it takes time and practice. This class is 16 weeks, and it takes at least that long to quit feeling awkward. And sometimes you may feel very awkward even after 16 weeks. So there's no hurry in Tai Chi, and we're so glad for that. But it's a journey. There's no perfect Tai Chi. It's a journey. And so that's where our goals lie, is to practice and stay in principle and just get the full benefits from it. So let's give ourselves a nice fist massage. It's a little after 11. It is so hard to go through those principles, but look how much practice we get when we do. All right, let's gather tension. Feel that tension, y'all. That does not feel good. Let it go. It feels so much better to let it go. And sometimes when we're in pain, that's what we do. We tense up. Oh, it hurts, it hurts, it hurts. And we can make it worse. If we could breathe through it and let it go and try to relax, it'll benefit us better. And that's just a good exercise to practice what it feels like. Big shoulder circle. One more. We have our right fist representing our strength, and we got a lot of it. Our left hand, fingers all together representing our friendship, our thumb in our humility. We put those together in mutual respect. We say namaste.
Okay.
So great job on your journey, y'all. One more class. Please come back next week with anything that you want to go over, any questions you may have that gets you through the long, dark 3 weeks where we're not going to be able to be together. Was that dramatic enough?
That was pretty good now. Yep.
Yeah, it's a lot different in the summer, but I think we'll all be kind of busy with this or that, or just being veg outs on the couch watching Stranger Things. I think Stranger Things is the hit show right now. But anyway, I hope y'all have a great week. Let me know if I can do anything for you, okay?
Okay.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Love y'all.
Thank you.
You
Love
Thank you,
too.
you.
Jennifer,
Thank
for
you.
the
That was
time that
good.
I do get with you lately.
Yep, you're welcome anytime and all the time.
All right. Bye
All
bye.
right. Bye-bye.